My brother Marcus' hands hit my chest like a freight train. The dining room wall rushed at me. The sharp crack of my skull against the wooden molding. Blood flooding my mouth. My mother screaming somewhere far away. My father's voice booming. Angela gasping. Everything spinning, tilting, fading. Then nothing. Complete darkness swallowed me whole. No dreams haunted me. Time ceased to exist. Just an endless void where my life used to be. When consciousness finally dragged me back 3 weeks later, I lay in a hospital room surrounded by beeping machines and unfamiliar ceiling tiles, completely unaware that while I slept, my entire world had been systematically destroyed. The fluorescent lights above me burned my eyes. Everything hurt. My head throbbed with a deep, pulsing ache that seemed to originate from inside my skull. I tried to move, but my body felt heavy, disconnected, like it belonged to someone else. Tubes ran from my arms. A clip pinched my finger. Machines beeped in rhythm with my heartbeat. Where was I? I attempted to speak, but my throat felt raw, scratchy. A small sound escaped, barely audible. Immediately, the beeping intensified. Within seconds, a nurse rushed through the door, her eyes widening. "Hez awake!" "Dr. Patterson." "He's awake." More footsteps pounded in the hallway. A doctor appeared, middle-aged with graying hair and kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. He leaned over me, shining a penlight into my eyes. "Drew? Can you hear me? I'm Dr. Patterson. You're in County General Hospital. You've been unconscious for 3 weeks." 3 weeks? The words didn't make sense. I blinked, trying to focus. 3 weeks? That couldn't be right. It'd just been at dinner. At Mom and Dad's house. Sunday dinner. We always had Sunday dinner. Marcus was there. Angela. The kids. The argument. Memory fragments crashed back. Marcus' face, red with anger. His voice rising. My own voice matching his volume. Something about the business. Dad's business. The accounting firm. Marcus wanted Dad to sign it over. It objected. Things escalated. What happened? My voice came out as a hoarse whisper. You suffered severe head trauma. Dr. Patterson explained gently. Traumatic brain injury. We had to put you in a medically induced coma to reduce the swelling. We weren't sure you'd wake up, Drew. You're very lucky. Lucky. The word felt wrong. Your parents are on their way, the nurse said. They've been here every day. Relief washed through me. Mom and Dad. They'd explain everything. They'd tell me what happened after Marcus shoved me. They'd tell me Marcus was sorry, that it was all a terrible accident. 20 minutes later, my hospital room door opened. Mom walked in first, and my relief evaporated instantly. Her face was pale, drawn. Dark circles shadowed her eyes. Shed aged 10 years and 3 weeks. Dad followed behind her, his expression stiff and unreadable. Drew. Mom's voice broke. She approached the bed but didn't touch me, didn't hug me, just stood there, wringing her hands, tears streaming down her face. Mom, I'm okay. I tried to reassure her. I'm awake. I'm going to be fine. She sobbed harder. Dad remained by the door, arms crossed over his chest. He looked at me, but something was wrong. His eyes held doubt. Suspicion. Even. What's going on? I asked, confusion turning to alarm. Where's Marcus? Is he okay? Did something happen to him too? Mom turned away, covering her mouth. Dad's jaw tightened. Marcus is fine, Dad said, his voice flat. Hez at home with Angela and the kids. But why isn't he here? I need to talk to him. About what happened. The argument got out of hand. But I'm sure he didn't mean to hurt me this badly. It was an accident, right? Silence filled the room, heavy and oppressive. Dr. Patterson cleared his throat. I'll give you some privacy. He and the nurse left, closing the door behind them. Drew. Dad began, then stopped. He looked at Mom, who still had her back to me. Your brother said you attacked him first. The words hung in the air like poison gas. What? No, that's not what happened. Marcus got in my face. He pushed me first. I stumbled back, and then he grabbed me and slammed me into the wall. I didn't attack anyone. Marcus said you came at him drunk and violent, Dad continued, his voice taking on an edge. He said he was defending himself. My heart hammered against my ribs. I wasn't drunk. I had half a glass of wine with dinner. Maybe 1 glass total. Dad, you were there. You saw what happened. Mom finally turned around, her face blotchy and red from crying. We didn't see the beginning of the fight, Drew. Your father and I were in the kitchen getting dessert. We heard shouting, and when we came back into the dining room, you and Marcus were already fighting. I wasn't fighting, I was arguing. There's a difference. Marcus got physical, not me. The police were involved, Dad said. Marcus filed a report. He said you came at him drunk and violent, and he had no choice but to defend himself. The room tilted. Police. Report. This was insane. I want to file a report too. Then, Marcus assaulted me. Look at me. I've been in a coma for 3 weeks. This wasn't self-defense. Dad shifted his weight, looking uncomfortable. Drew, there's more. Marcus showed the police a video. From Angela's phone. It shows you pushing him first. Ice flooded my veins. What video? Angela recorded part of the argument on her phone. Mom said softly. The video shows you pushing Marcus. He stumbled backward. Then he came forward, and the video cuts off. That's not the whole story. What about before I pushed him? What about Marcus getting in my face? What about him provoking me? Context matters, Mom. The police saw the video, Dad said. They deemed it self-defense. No charges were filed against Marcus. I stared at my parents. These two people who'd raised me, who were supposed to believe me, support me. They looked back with uncertainty in their eyes. You believe him, I said. The realization, crushing my chest, worse than any physical injury. You actually believe Marcus over me. Mom's tears flowed harder. We don't know what to believe, Drew. We love you both. But there's video evidence. And Marcus said, you've been acting strange lately, resentful about the business. He said you've been sending him angry texts. I never sent him angry texts. Mom, Dad, please. You know me. I would never attack Marcus. Yeah, we've had tension about the business stuff, but I would never get violent. Dad's expression remained closed. Skeptical. Marcus showed us the texts. They were from your number. Then he faked them somehow. This is crazy. You're taking his word over mine because of some video that doesn't show the whole picture and texts I never sent. We're not taking sides, Mom insisted, though her words rang hollow. We just want the truth. I'm telling you the truth. My voice rose, and immediately my head exploded with pain. I winced, clutching the side of my head where it throbbed worst. Dr. Patterson rushed back in. What's going on? Drew, you need to stay calm. Your blood pressure is spiking. My parents exchanged glances. The kind of glances that said they thought my reaction proved something. Proved I was unstable, volatile, dangerous. We should go, Dad said. Let him rest. Wait, please, I called out, desperation creeping into my voice. Don't leave like this. Please believe me. But they were already heading for the door. Mom paused, looked back at me with anguish in her eyes, then followed Dad out. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, my entire reality crumbling. My own family believed I was the aggressor. They believed Marcus' lies. They'd seen some edited video and fake texts, and they'd chosen his version over mine. Dr. Patterson checked my monitors, adjusted something on my IV. You need to rest, Drew. Your brain is still healing. You can work out family issues later. But I knew, deep in my gut, that something was terribly wrong. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. Marcus had planned this. The video, the texts, the police report had set me up. The question was, why? The next week crawled by in a haze of medical tests, physical therapy, and isolation. My body slowly remembered how to function. Walking felt strange at first, my muscles weak from 3 weeks of inactivity. The physical therapist, a woman named Diane, guided me through exercises that left me exhausted and shaking. The headaches persisted. Brutal. Splitting pain that medicine only dulled. Dr. Patterson warned me about post-concussion syndrome, sensitivity to light and sound, dizziness, potential long-term cognitive effects. He stressed the importance of rest and avoiding stress. Rest and avoiding stress. Right. My phone had been damaged in the fall, so the hospital provided me with a tablet to contact people. I needed to let my job know what happened. I worked as a software engineer at InnovateSoft, a tech startup downtown. I'd been there 4 years, working my way up to senior developer. They'd be worried. I'd missed 3 weeks without any communication. I logged into my email, dreading the pile of unread messages. But what I found made my stomach drop. Termination notice. Effective 2 weeks ago. I read it 3 times. certain I was misunderstanding, but the words were clear. Failure to show up to work, failure to communicate, abandonment of position. My employment had been terminated. This had to be a mistake. Didn't anyone tell them I was in a coma? In the hospital? With shaking hands, I searched for my boss' contact information. I called his cell, got voicemail, left a rambling message explaining I'd been unconscious. There'd been an accident. It'd just woken up. There must be some misunderstanding. An hour later, my boss called back. "Drew," he said, his voice uncomfortable. "I got your message. Am confused. Are you saying you were in the hospital?" "Yes. For 3 weeks, I was in a coma. I just woke up a week ago." "Didn't anyone contact you?" "My family. The hospital." A long pause. "Drew, your brother called us. About 3 weeks ago. He said you were in rehab for substance abuse and wouldn't be coming back. He said you specifically asked him to notify us on your behalf." The tablet nearly slipped from my hands. "What? No. That's not true. None of that is true. He seemed very concerned about you. Said it was a family matter and you needed privacy to deal with your issues. We waited a week, hoping to hear from you directly. But when we didn't, we had to fill your position. We couldn't leave a senior developer role empty indefinitely." "But I was in a coma." "You can call the hospital. County General. Ask for Dr. Patterson. He'll confirm everything." My boss sighed. "Drew, look, if what you're saying is true, I'm genuinely sorry. That's a terrible situation. But we've already hired someone to replace you. They've been here 2 weeks. They're trained. They're doing good work. I can't just fire them because of this complicated family situation. This isn't a family situation. This is fraud. My brother lied to you. That's between you and your brother. And honestly, Drew, this story is really complicated. I need to protect the company. I can't get involved in whatever's happening with your family. I'm sorry, but the termination stands." He hung up. I sat there, gripping the tablet, rage and disbelief warring inside me. Marcus had called my job, told them I was in rehab, cost me my career. Why? What did he gain from this? With mounting dread, I opened my banking app. I kept about $5,000 in my checking account for bills and expenses, another $20,000 in savings. My checking account showed $317. I refreshed the page, certain there was an error. But the number remained. $317. My savings account was untouched, thankfully, but my checking had been drained. I pulled up the statement. Multiple large cash withdrawals over the past 3 weeks. $2,000 here, $1,500 there. Several transfers to accounts I didn't recognize. All authorized with my PIN and fingerprint authentication. Someone had accessed my phone, used my unconscious body to unlock it with my fingerprint. Stolen my money. The room spun. I gripped the edge of the bed, fighting nausea. A knock at the door interrupted my spiraling panic. A social worker entered. A middle-aged woman with a kind face and a tablet of her own. "Drew? I'm Sharon, from Patient Services. I'm here to discuss your discharge plan. Dr. Patterson says you're progressing well and should be able to leave in a few days." I nodded, not trusting my voice. "Do you have somewhere to go? Family who can care for you during your recovery?" "I'll go back to my apartment." I managed. Sharon consulted her tablet, her expression shifting to concern. "About that. According to our records, your apartment lease was terminated. Your brother came with documentation showing power of attorney. He cleared out your belongings and terminated the lease. He indicated you'd be staying with family during your recovery." The words landed like physical blows. "Power of attorney? I never gave him power of attorney." Sharon turned the tablet toward me, showing a scanned document. My signature, clear as day. Notarized. Dated 6 months ago. Granting Marcus full power of attorney over my affairs in case of incapacity. "I never signed this," I whispered. But looking at the signature that looked exactly like mine, doubt crept in. Had I signed something 6 months ago? Marcus had asked me to be an emergency contact for something. Something with the kids' school, Head said. Head had a stack of papers, asked me to sign a few forms. I'd been at his house, drinking a beer, watching a game. I'd trusted him. Signed without reading carefully. Oh God. Head tricked me. Buried the power of attorney in with other documents, gotten me to sign it without realizing what it was. "This is fraud," I said. "He manipulated me into signing this. Sharon's expression was sympathetic but helpless. That's a legal matter you'll need to address with an attorney. For now, I need to know where you'll be going when you're discharged. I don't know, I admitted, the full weight of my situation crashing down. No job, no apartment, almost no money, and my family believed I was the bad guy. Sharon made some notes. I'll connect you with some resources. Temporary housing assistance, legal aid. Well, figure something out. After she left, I lay back on the bed, staring at the ceiling. Marcus had orchestrated all of this. While I was unconscious, fighting for my life, my own brother had systematically dismantled my existence. But why? What had I done to deserve this? 2 days later, I got my answer. My best friend Tyler showed up. Had been out of the country for work, just got back, just heard what happened. He walked into my hospital room, and his face went pale when he saw me. Jesus, Drew, what the hell happened? Relief flooded through me. Tyler, someone who knew me, who'd believe me. I told him everything. The dinner, the argument, Marcus slamming me into the wall, the lies, the video, the stolen money, my destroyed life. Tyler listened, his expression growing darker with each revelation. I believe you, man, he said when I finished. This is insane. Marcus always seemed like such a straight arrow. You believe me? Really? Of course I do. I've known you for 15 years. You're not violent. You're not a drunk. This is obviously Marcus lying. The validation nearly brought me to tears. Finally, someone on my side. But then Tyler's face twisted with discomfort. Drew, I need to tell you something. Marcus came to my place 2 weeks ago. My stomach clenched. What did he say? He told me you attacked him at dinner, that you'd been acting unstable, that the family was worried about you. He asked me about your state of mind lately, if he'd noticed anything off. What did you tell him? I said you seemed fine. Stressed about work maybe, but nothing alarming. But then, Tyler pulled out his phone, scrolled through something. He showed me texts, messages from your phone to him over the past few months. Really angry, threatening stuff. Talking about how you deserved half the business. How you'd make them all pay if they cut you out. How Dad always favored him and you were sick of it. I never sent those messages. I know that now. But Drew, they looked real. Your number, your contact. I didn't know what to think. And then, he hesitated. 2 days ago, I got a cease and desist letter from a lawyer representing your family. It says I'm not to contact you or interfere in family matters, or I could be charged with harassment. The room tilted again. Hez trying to isolate me. Cut me off from everyone. It's worse than that, Tyler said quietly. Has been thorough. Has got fake evidence, legal documents, witness statements. Has built an entire case against you. This wasn't impulsive, Drew. This was planned, for months. We sat in silence, the magnitude of Marcus' betrayal sinking in. Why? I finally asked. Why would he do this? I don't know. But we're going to find out, and we're going to stop him. Tyler offered his couch, a loan for immediate expenses. He believed me, and that meant everything. But as he left, promising to help however he could, I realized the full scope of what Marcus had done. He hadn't just assaulted me. Had orchestrated my destruction. Taken my job, my money, my home, my reputation, turned my family against me, isolated me from my friends. My brother had erased me from my own life. And somehow, I had to find a way to fight back. The hospital discharged me 3 days later with a bottle of pain medication, a sheet of recovery instructions, and nowhere to go. Tyler picked me up, drove me to a cheap motel on the edge of town. Head offered his couch, but his apartment was tiny, and I couldn't impose. Head already lent me $500 for immediate expenses. The motel room smelled like cigarettes and cleaning chemicals. The bedspread looked questionable, but it was shelter, and with only $300 left in my account, it was all I could afford. I paid for one night, hoping my credit card would cover more if needed. It didn't. The card declined the next morning. I sat on the motel bed, head in my hands, trying to think. I needed evidence, proof that Marcus had lied, stolen from me, set me up. I needed to fight back, but I didn't even know where to start. The police station seemed like the logical first step. I took a bus downtown, my head throbbing with each bump in the road. The fluorescent lights in the police station made my eyes water. I approached the front desk, asked to see the report from the night of the incident. The officer on duty, a tired-looking woman in her 40s, pulled up the file on her computer. That's case number 47298. What's your relation to this? I'm the victim. Drew. The one who was injured. She scrolled through the report, her expression neutral. According to this, you were deemed the primary aggressor. Your brother filed the report claiming self-defense. He'd like to see the video evidence that was submitted. She hesitated, then led me to a small viewing room. A few minutes later, she returned with a laptop, pulled up the video file. I watched myself on screen. The angle was from across the room, shaky, clearly from a phone. The video started mid-argument. Marcus and I were facing each other, voices raised. Then I saw myself push Marcus. He stumbled backward, arms windmilling. Then he came forward, and the video cut to black. That's not the whole thing, I said. What happened before this? The video conveniently starts right when I push him, but it doesn't show him getting in my face first, provoking me. The officer shrugged. That's the only video that was submitted. We have statements from 3 witnesses. Your father, your mother, and your sister-in-law. All 3 state that you were intoxicated and aggressive that night. My father and mother weren't even in the room when it started. They were in the kitchen. And Angela is my brother's wife. Of course, she's going to back him up. Sir, I understand you're upset, but we investigated this incident. Your brother claimed self-defense. The video supports that you initiated physical contact. The district attorney declined to press charges against him. If you want to pursue this further, you'd need to file a civil suit. What about what he did after? While I was unconscious? He stole my money, used my fingerprint to access my phone, cleared out my apartment. That's fraud. That's theft. Do you have evidence of that? I have bank statements showing unauthorized withdrawals, but were they made with your phone and your biometric authentication? Yes, but I was unconscious. In a coma. He used my body to unlock my phone. The officer's expression softened slightly. That's a serious accusation. You'd need to prove he had access to you and your phone during that time, and that you didn't give him permission beforehand. With the power of attorney he has, it becomes complicated. You'd need a lawyer. A lawyer, which I couldn't afford. I left the station feeling more defeated than when it arrived. The system wasn't going to help me. Marcus had covered his tracks too well. I went to the library, used their public computers to search for legal aid services, found a clinic that offered free consultations, made an appointment for the next day. That night, I couldn't afford another night at the motel. It already maxed out my credit card trying to pay for it. Tyler insisted I take his couch. This is temporary, I promised him. I'll figure something out. Stay as long as you need, man. Well, get through this. But lying on Tyler's couch that night, homeless, jobless, broke, I felt hopeless. Marcus had won, had destroyed me, and there was nothing I could do about it. The next morning, I met with an attorney at the legal aid clinic. Her name was Grace, a young lawyer, maybe in her early 30s, with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. I told her everything, showed her the bank statements, the power of attorney document, the termination notice from my job. She reviewed everything carefully, making notes. This is bad, she finally said. But it's not hopeless. The power of attorney, if you were manipulated into signing it, that's fraud. But proving manipulation is difficult. You need to demonstrate that you didn't understand what you were signing, that your brother intentionally deceived you. He told me it was for his kid's school. Emergency contact forms. Can you prove that? Any witnesses to that conversation? No. It was just the 2 of us at his house. She tapped her pen against her notepad. The banking fraud is more clear-cut. If you can prove he used your unconscious body to access your phone, that's criminal. But again, you need evidence. Hospital security footage. Maybe. Showing him with your phone. Hope flickered. Can we get that? We can request it. It'll take time. I don't have time. My parents are supposed to meet with a lawyer in a few days about signing over their business to Marcus. Once he controls that company, he'll bury any evidence of what he's done. Grace leaned back in her chair, studying me. Why is he doing this? What does he gain from destroying you? I don't know. Hatred? Jealousy? Control over the family business without me potentially interfering. There has to be more. This level of planning, this much effort. People don't do this without a strong motive. She was right. There was something I was missing, some piece of the puzzle that would make all of this make sense. I left the legal aid clinic with Grace, agreeing to help file requests for evidence, but warned me it could take weeks or months. Time I didn't have. I was walking back to Tyler's apartment when my borrowed phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. You don't know me, but I know what Marcus did. I can help you. Meet me tomorrow at Riverside Cafe at 2 in the afternoon. Come alone. I have proof. I stared at the message, every instinct screaming that this was a trap. But what choice did I have? I was out of options, out of time, out of resources. I texted back, "Who is this?" The response came immediately. "Someone who wants to see Marcus pay for what he's done. Be there." I showed Tyler the message when I got back to his apartment. "It could be Marcus setting you up," Tyler warned. "Getting you to meet somewhere so he can accuse you of harassing him or something. Or it could be someone who actually knows the truth. It's risky. Everything is risky at this point. What do I have to lose?" Tyler couldn't argue with that. The next day, I arrived at Riverside Cafe 15 minutes early, picked a table with a view of the entrance, ordered a coffee I couldn't afford but nursed slowly. At exactly 2 o'clock, a woman walked in. Late 20s, professionally dressed, carrying a leather bag. She scanned the room, her eyes landing on me. She approached slowly, nervously. "Drew?" she asked. I nodded. She sat down across from me, set her bag on the floor, ordered nothing. Her hands trembled slightly. "My name is Jenna," she said quietly. "I used to work with Marcus at your father's firm. I quit 3 months ago." Recognition flickered. I'd met her once or twice at family events. Quiet, competent, serious about her work. "Why did you quit?" She glanced around the cafe, making sure no one was within earshot. "Because I discovered Marcus was embezzling from the company." The world stopped. "What? Has been stealing money for almost 2 years? Small amounts at first, then larger." "I'm an accountant." I noticed discrepancies. When I dug deeper, I found false entries, redirected payments. It totals about $80,000 or $90,000. My mind raced. Does my father know? Not as far as I know. Marcus was careful. He had access to the books, knew how to hide it. I confronted him privately. Tried to give him a chance to come clean, pay it back. He begged me not to tell anyone. Said he had gambling debts, said he'd fix it. But he didn't. No. Instead, he started setting you up. I didn't understand it at first, but then I realized, if the embezzlement was discovered, he needed someone else to blame. You had limited access to the company systems from years ago when you helped set up their IT infrastructure. He could claim you did it, frame you as the thief. Everything clicked into place. The fake texts about deserving money from the business. The assault that made me look violent and unstable. The systematic destruction of my credibility in life. It was all to set me up as a scapegoat. "Why are you telling me this now?" I asked. Jenna's eyes filled with tears. "Because he hurt you. When I heard about the assault, that you were in the hospital in a coma, I realized he'd gone too far. I couldn't stay silent anymore. What he did to you, the violence, it crossed a line I can't ignore. Do you have proof?" Of the embezzlement, she reached into her bag, pulled out a flash drive. Financial records, emails, recordings of conversations where Marcus discussed his plan vaguely with Angela, screenshots of the fake texts he created using a spoofing app. I copied everything before I quit. I took the flash drive like it was made of gold. This is enough to expose him. It should be. But Drew, he's dangerous. He threatened me when I quit. Said he'd destroy my career if I said anything. He has connections through your father's business. We have to go to the police. There's more, Jenna said urgently. Marcus has been pushing your father to sign over the business immediately because the embezzlement is getting harder to hide. Your father has a meeting with his lawyer in 5 days to finalize the transfer. Once Marcus controls the company completely, he can bury all the evidence permanently. 5 days. We have to stop that transfer. Jenna nodded. That's why I came forward now. We have 5 days to expose him. As we talked, planning our next movement outside caught my eye. A familiar car pulled into the parking lot across the street. Marcus' silver sedan. Angela was in the passenger seat. "Hess here," I said, my blood running cold. Jenna went pale. "He followed me. He must have been tracking my phone or my car. We need to leave. Now." We stood, and my borrowed phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from an unknown number. "You should have stayed asleep, little brother. Now you're going to lose everything, including your freedom. Check your email." With shaking hands, I opened my email on my phone. A legal document waited in my inbox. Marcus was filing for a restraining order against me. The hearing was scheduled for tomorrow morning. He claimed I'd been stalking him, making threats since waking from my coma. He knows I'm fighting back, I said, showing Jenna the email. Hez trying to neutralize me legally before I can expose him. Jenna grabbed my arm. We need to get out of here. Go somewhere safe. Figure out our next move. We left through the back exit of the cafe, splitting up to lose any tail Marcus might have on us. We agreed to meet at Jenna's apartment in an hour. As I walked quickly through side streets, my mind raced. Marcus had been planning this for so long, every detail calculated, every move strategic. But Head made one mistake. Head underestimated my will to fight back. And now, I had evidence. An ally, and 5 days to destroy him before he destroyed me completely. The battle was just beginning. Jenna's apartment was in a newer building on the north side of town, secure and anonymous. We sat at her kitchen table, her laptop open between us, the flash drive plugged in. Show me everything, I said. She opened folder after folder, spreadsheets showing discrepancies in the company accounts, deposits that didn't match invoices, payments to shell companies that Marcus had created. The pattern was clear once you knew what to look for. This is meticulous work, I said, scanning through the data. How long did it take you to compile this? Months. I started noticing small things about a year ago, but I didn't realize the full scope until 6 months ago. That's when I started documenting everything. 6 months ago, right when Marcus had tricked me into signing the power of attorney. Had known Jenna was onto him, had been preparing his backup plan, making sure he could frame me if necessary. The emails are worse, Jenna said, clicking to another folder. I read through correspondence between Marcus and Angela. Most of it was vague, but the implications were clear. References to the Drew problem. Discussions about insurance and backup plans. One email from 3 months ago made my stomach turn. Marcus to Angela. If Jenna talks, we move to Plan B. Drew becomes the scapegoat. I've got the documents ready. Just need the right moment. Angela's response. Are you sure this is necessary? This seems extreme. Marcus. Has always been in my way. Always the favorite, even if they don't admit it. Dad talks about his tech career like it's so impressive. Meanwhile, I've been running the actual family business for 10 years. Drew gets half of everything when they die, despite doing nothing. This solves multiple problems. The bitterness in his words was shocking. I'd never realized Marcus resented me this deeply. We'd had the usual sibling rivalry growing up, competed for our parents' attention. But I thought we'd moved past that as adults. Apparently not. There's audio too, Jenna said quietly. She played a recording. Marcus' voice, unmistakable, talking to someone on the phone. The dinner thing will work. It'll provoke him, get him angry. Angela will record just the right part. Then, when the embezzlement comes out, hell already look unstable. Violent. Everyone will believe he did it, not me. The recording was dated 2 days before the Sunday dinner that destroyed my life. Head planned it, the whole thing. The argument about the business wasn't spontaneous. It was bait. And I'd taken it. This is enough, I said, my voice shaking with anger and vindication. This proves everything. There's more, Jenna said. She opened another file. The fake texts he showed everyone. I found the app he used to create them. Screenshots with timestamps. He manufactured all the threatening messages he claimed you sent. We spent hours going through everything, building a timeline, organizing the evidence. Jenna had been thorough. She'd documented everything, anticipating that she might need to prove what Marcus had done. Why didn't you go to the police immediately? I asked. I was terrified. Marcus is charming. He has connections. His father's firm represents half the important people in this town, and he threatened me directly. Said he'd claim I was the one embezzling if I tried to expose him. That head ruined me. She wiped away tears. I'm ashamed I waited this long. If I'd acted sooner, maybe he wouldn't have hurt you. This isn't your fault. Marcus is responsible for his own actions. My phone rang. Grace, the legal aid attorney. Drew, I heard about the restraining order hearing tomorrow. I can represent you, but we need to prepare. Can you come to my office tonight? I'll be there in an hour. And Grace? I have evidence. Real evidence. Everything we need to expose Marcus. A pause. Bring it. All of it. Jenna and I copied all the files to multiple drives. One for Grace, one for the police, one backup for safety. As we worked, Jenna shared more details about Marcus' behavior at the firm. He changed about 2 years ago, she said. Started taking long lunches, coming back distracted. His work got sloppy. I covered for him a few times, thought he was going through something personal. Then I found out about the gambling. Gambling. He was going to the casino 3 or 4 times a week, sometimes driving 2 hours to the one in Jefferson County. I saw credit card statements once when I was filing. Thousands of dollars in cash advances. So that's where the stolen money went. Marcus had a gambling addiction and had been stealing from the family business to fund it. When Jenna discovered it, he needed a scapegoat. And his resentful feelings toward me made me the perfect target. Angela knows everything, Jenna continued. She's not innocent in this. She helped him plan it, edited the video, backed up his lies. But I think she's scared of him too. I saw bruises on her arm once. When I asked about it, she said Shed bumped into a door. But her eyes told a different story. That added another layer of complexity. If Angela was also a victim of Marcus' manipulation and abuse, maybe she could be convinced to testify against him. We finished copying the files, and I headed to Grace's office. Tyler met me there, insisting on being present for moral support. Grace's office was small, cluttered with case files and law books. She cleared space on her desk, and I plugged in the flash drive. For the next 3 hours, we went through everything. Grace took notes, asked questions, built a strategy. This is incredible, she said finally. This is more than enough to not only dismiss the restraining order but to file criminal charges against Marcus. Fraud, embezzlement, assault, theft, identity theft. Hess, looking at serious prison time. Can we stop the business transfer? Absolutely. Once your father sees this evidence, he'll understand what Marcus has been doing. But we need to be strategic about how we reveal this. The restraining order hearing tomorrow is our opportunity. How? Well, use the hearing as a platform. Marcus is claiming you're dangerous and unstable. Well-present evidence showing he's been systematically framing you to cover up his own crimes. Well, call witnesses. Well, request the full unedited video from Angela's phone. Well, expose everything in open court. What if the judge doesn't allow it? It's just a restraining order hearing, not a criminal trial. Well, make a motion to expand the scope based on new evidence. It's unusual, but given the circumstances, I think we can convince the judge. And even if we can't present everything, what we do present will be enough to deny the restraining order and prompt a criminal investigation. Hope surged through me for the first time in weeks. We had a plan, we had evidence, we had a chance. There's one more thing we should do, Tyler said. Talk to Angela, without Marcus present. If she's scared of him, if she's been coerced, maybe she'll tell the truth. That's risky, Grace said. If she warns Marcus, he could destroy evidence or flee. Or, I said slowly, she could be the key to everything. If she testifies against him, admits the video was edited, admits they planned it together, it strengthens our case immensely. We debated the risks. Finally, Grace said, it's your call, Drew, but if you're going to approach her, do it tonight. Before the hearing. Before Marcus knows we have all this evidence. I knew where Angela took the kids every Wednesday evening. Gymnastics class at the community center. Marcus never went. Said it was a mom thing. I texted Jenna. Can you come with me to talk to Angela? She might be more comfortable with another woman present. She agreed immediately. At 7 o'clock, Jenna and I waited in the parking lot of the community center. Through the windows, I could see children tumbling and flipping. Angela sat on a bench inside, watching Emma and Noah practice. When the class ended and Angela walked out with the kids, I stepped forward. Angela, please. I need to talk to you. She froze, her face going pale. Drew, you shouldn't be here. Marcus said you were harassing him. I'm not harassing anyone. I'm trying to save my life. Please, just 5 minutes. The kids can sit in your car. This is important. She looked around nervously, then at Jenna. Why is she here? Because I have proof of what Marcus did, Jenna said quietly. To Drew, to your family, to the company. Angela's eyes filled with tears. She settled the kids in her car with tablets and snacks, then walked with us to the far end of the parking lot. I know you helped Marcus, I said, keeping my voice gentle. I know you edited the video. I know you lied to the police. But I also know he manipulated you. Maybe even threatened you. Angela, you have a chance to make this right. To protect your kids from growing up with a father in prison. Hell, go to prison, she whispered. Yes, we have evidence of embezzlement, fraud, assault. It's over. The only question is whether you go down with him or whether you cooperate. She broke down, sobbing. I never wanted this. He said we'd lose everything if the truth came out. He said your father would disown us. He said the kids would suffer. The kids will suffer more if they watch their father be arrested, Jenna said. And if you're charged as an accomplice. I have the original video, Angela said suddenly. The full one. On my phone. I kept it. I don't know why. Maybe I knew this day would come. Will you give it to us? I asked. She nodded, pulling out her phone with shaking hands. She found the video, sent it to my email. There. That's everything. You can see Marcus provoking you, getting in your face, pushing first. The video I gave the police was edited to start after that. Why did you do it? I had to know. Because I was scared. Marcus has been different lately. Angry all the time. Controlling. He told me if I didn't back him up, he'd leave us with nothing. And I believed him. I still love him, or I did. But what he did to you, Drew, it's unforgivable. You almost died. Will you testify tomorrow? At the restraining order hearing? Tell the judge the truth. She hesitated, fear warring with guilt on her face. Then she looked toward her car, where Emma and Noah sat watching videos, innocent and oblivious. Yes, she said finally. I'll testify. For them. So they don't grow up thinking this is okay. We left the parking lot with Angela's cooperation secured. The original video. Her willingness to testify. Combined with Jenna's evidence, we had everything we needed. As I climbed into Tyler's car, my phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. I know you talked to Angela. It doesn't matter. You've already lost. See you in court, little brother. I showed Tyler the message. Hez bluffing, Tyler said. He has to be. He doesn't know what we have. But something in Marcus' message unsettled me. He sounded too confident, too certain. What was I missing? We worked through the night. Grace, Tyler, Jenna, and I assembled every piece of evidence into a comprehensive presentation. Bank statements, financial records showing the embezzlement, email correspondence, audio recordings, the fake text app evidence, the full, unedited video from Angela, hospital security footage Grace had managed to obtain showing Marcus using my unconscious thumb to unlock my phone. By 4 in the morning, we had everything organized, indexed, and ready. Grace had prepared legal motions to expand the scope of the hearing, to call additional witnesses, to enter all the evidence into the record. This is as solid as it gets, Grace said, rubbing her tired eyes. Get a few hours of sleep. The hearing is at 9. I tried to sleep on Tyler's couch, but my mind wouldn't quiet. I kept replaying Marcus' text. You've already lost. What did he know that I didn't? At 7:30, I showered, dressed in the one decent outfit Tyler had lent me. My head still ached, a constant reminder of what Marcus had done. But today, the pain felt different. It felt like fuel for the fight ahead. Tyler drove me to the courthouse. Grace met us on the steps, looking professional and determined in a sharp suit. Jenna arrived moments later, visibly nervous but resolute. Angela, I asked. She texted me an hour ago, Grace said. She's coming. She's bringing the kids to her mother's first, then she'll be here. We entered the courthouse, went through security, found the courtroom. It was smaller than I'd expected. Just a judge's bench, a few rows of seats, tables for each party. Marcus arrived at 8:45 with his attorney, a man in an expensive suit who probably cost more per hour than I'd made in a month. Marcus looked calm, confident, wearing a tie and a victim's expression. Our parents arrived next. Mom looked like she hadn't slept in days. Dad's face was stern, unreadable. They sat in the back, not acknowledging me. That hurt, but I pushed the pain aside. They'd understand soon. At 8:55, Angela hurried in, her face pale but determined. She sat on our side of the courtroom. Marcus' head whipped around, his expression darkening when he saw her. "What are you doing?" he hissed. She didn't respond. At 9 o'clock sharp, the judge entered. Judge Morrison. According to the nameplate, a woman in her 60s with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. This is a hearing on a petition for a restraining order, Judge Morrison began. Marcus, you're the petitioner. Marcus' attorney stood, Yes, Your Honor. My client is seeking protection from his brother, who has been engaging in stalking and harassing behavior since being released from the hospital. Your Honor. Grace stood immediately. Before we proceed, the respondent requests to expand the scope of this hearing. We have significant evidence that the petitioner has engaged in fraud, assault, and criminal manipulation. The restraining order petition is itself part of a pattern of abuse and fraudulent activity designed to silence my client. Judge Morrison raised an eyebrow. That's a serious allegation. Do you have evidence to support this? Substantial evidence, Your Honor. Multiple witnesses, financial records, audio and video documentation. We request permission to present this evidence as it directly relates to whether a restraining order should be granted. Marcus' attorney objected. Your Honor, this is highly irregular. This is a simple restraining order hearing, not a criminal trial. And yet, Judge Morrison said dryly, if there's evidence that the petitioner is the actual aggressor, that's directly relevant to my decision. I'll allow the expanded scope, but keep it focused, Counselor. I'm not here to try a criminal case, but I will hear evidence relevant to credibility and the legitimacy of this petition. Grace presented our case methodically. First, the hospital security footage showing Marcus using my unconscious body to access my phone. The courtroom went silent as the video played. Marcus shifting uncomfortably in his seat. Then the banking records, showing the unauthorized withdrawals made with my biometric data while I was in a coma. Then Jenna's testimony. She took the stand, identified herself as Marcus' former colleague, and laid out the embezzlement in clear, professional detail. The amounts stolen, the false entries, the shell companies. Marcus' attorney tried to object, but Judge Morrison overruled him. This goes to motive, Counselor. I want to hear this. Jenna continued, describing how Shed confronted Marcus, how Head begged her to stay quiet, then started talking about dealing with the Drew problem. She described finding evidence that Marcus had created fake text messages using a spoofing app. When she finished, Grace called the tech expert who'd analyzed the text metadata. He confirmed the messages Marcus had shown everyone were fabricated, not actually sent from my phone. Our parents were leaning forward now, shock evident on their faces. Then Grace played the audio recordings. Marcus' voice, discussing, provoking me at dinner, getting me angry, having Angela record just the right part. Mom gasped. Dad's face turned red. Marcus was sweating now, whispering urgently to his attorney. Your Honor, Grace said. We have the original, unedited video from the night of the assault. With the court's permission, I'd like to call Angela to testify and present this video. Judge Morrison nodded. Angela took the stand, her hands shaking as she was sworn in. Grace led her through gentle questions. Angela admitted Shed edited the video at Marcus' instruction. Admitted they'd planned to make me look like the aggressor. Can you show us the original video? Grace asked. Angela pulled out her phone, connected it to the courtroom display. The full video played. Clear as day, Marcus provoking me, getting in my face. Me, telling him to back off. Marcus pushing me first. Me, stumbling back, then pushing him away. Marcus grabbing me, slamming me into the wall with deliberate force. My head hitting the molding. Me collapsing. Mom was crying. Dad had his head in his hands. Why did you agree to this? Grace asked Angela. Because Marcus said, we'd lose everything if I didn't. He said Drew was trying to take the business, that we had to protect ourselves. But it was all lies. Angela's voice broke. I'm so sorry, Drew. I should never have gone along with it. Marcus stood up suddenly. She's lying! I didn't force her to do anything. Your Honor, this is a setup. Mr. Marcus, sit down, Judge Morrison said sharply. You'll have your chance to respond. But Marcus didn't sit. This whole thing is a setup. They're all in on it, together. Drew probably paid them. Sir, sit down, or I'll hold you in contempt. Marcus' attorney pulled him down, whispering urgently. Grace concluded by presenting the power of attorney fraud, showing how Marcus had tricked me into signing it buried in other documents. She presented my former employer's statement about Marcus falsely claiming I was in rehab. She laid out the entire conspiracy, piece by piece. Your Honor, Grace said, this is not a case of my client harassing the petitioner. This is a case of the petitioner systematically destroying my client's life to cover up embezzlement and fraud. The restraining order petition is simply the latest attempt to silence my client and prevent him from exposing these crimes. Judge Morrison looked at Marcus, her expression severe. Do you wish to respond? Marcus' attorney stood, looking uncertain. Your Honor, my client maintains that his brother is dangerous and unstable. Regardless of these other allegations, which we dispute, my client has a right to protection. From what? Judge Morrison asked coldly. From being exposed? I've seen the evidence. I've heard the testimony. This petition is denied. Furthermore, I'm referring this matter to the District Attorney's Office for criminal investigation. Bailiff, please ensure Mr. Marcus provides contact information to the DA's office before leaving. She banged her gavel. It was over. Marcus sat frozen, his face pale. His attorney was already packing his briefcase, clearly wanting to distance himself from this disaster. Police officers approached, asking to speak with Marcus about the fraud investigation that had apparently been ongoing. Wait, what investigation? Marcus asked, his voice rising. One of the detectives, a stern-looking man in his 50s, said, Mr. Marcus, we've been investigating you for 3 weeks, based on an anonymous tip about fraud at your father's firm. We were building our case. What happened today just accelerated everything. Marcus looked at Jenna. You reported me. Jenna met his eyes steadily. The day after you put Drew in the hospital, I couldn't stay silent anymore. The detective continued. Mr. Marcus, based on the evidence presented today and our ongoing investigation, you're under arrest for fraud, assault, identity theft, and theft. He read Marcus his rights as he handcuffed him. Marcus was shouting now. About injustice, about being set up, about how this wasn't fair. But his words fell on deaf ears. As officers led him away, our parents approached. Mom grabbed me, hugging me tight, sobbing into my shoulder. I'm so sorry, she kept saying. I'm so sorry I didn't believe you. Dad stood behind her, tears streaming down his face. Son, I failed you. I chose the wrong side. Can you ever forgive me? I looked at my father, this man who'd raised me, who'd doubted me when I needed him most. Part of me wanted to hold on to that anger, but I also saw the devastation in his eyes, the genuine remorse. It's going to take time, I said honestly. But yeah, well, work on it. Grace approached with paperwork. The DA wants to talk to you. They're building a case. With all this evidence and Angela's cooperation, Marcus is looking at significant prison time. Tyler clapped me on the shoulder. You did it, man. You fought back and won. Jenna stood off to the side, looking relieved but exhausted. I walked over to her. Thank you, I said simply. You saved my life. You would have done the same, she replied. As we left the courthouse, I felt lighter than I had in weeks. Justice had been served. The truth had come out. My name was cleared. But the victory felt complicated. Marcus was my brother. We'd grown up together, shared a childhood, had memories of better times. Watching him be arrested was both satisfying and heartbreaking. Still, Head made his choices. Head tried to destroy me, and now Head faced the consequences. The weeks following the hearing moved quickly. The district attorney's office worked fast, bringing formal charges against Marcus. Fraud in the first degree, assault causing serious bodily harm, identity theft, grand theft. The list went on. Angela was granted immunity in exchange for her full cooperation and testimony. She filed for divorce within days, moved in with her mother, started therapy. I visited her once, 2 weeks after the hearing. She was different, quieter, more present. The fear that had always lingered in her eyes was gone. How are Emma and Noah? I asked, confused. Sad. Their therapist says it'll take time for them to understand. She poured us coffee in her mother's kitchen. I told them Daddy made some very bad choices and has to face consequences. They keep asking when he's coming home. What do you tell them? The truth, in a way they can understand. That he'll be gone for a while. That he needs to learn from his mistakes. And that we'll be okay without him. Shed found a job as an administrative assistant at a medical office. Modest pay, but honest work. She seemed more at peace than I'd ever seen her. Drew, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, she said. What I did was inexcusable. You were in an impossible situation. Marcus manipulated you too. I still made choices, bad choices, but am going to spend the rest of my life making better ones. For the kids. And for myself. I left feeling something unexpected. Not quite forgiveness, but understanding. Angela had been a victim too, even if she'd also been a perpetrator. People were complicated. Situations were messy. There was room for both accountability and compassion. My parents threw themselves into making amends. Dad hired forensic accountants to assess the full damage to his business. The embezzlement totaled $94,000 over 2 years. He worked with attorneys to restructure the company, implement better oversight, prevent this from happening again. He called me one evening, asked me to meet him at his office. I went, curious. I wanted to offer you something, he said, gesturing to a chair. A position in the company, not because you're my son, but because you're brilliant with technology and systems. We need someone to overhaul our IT security, our financial monitoring, our internal controls. Someone I can trust. Dad, I appreciate that, but I'm not sure I want to work in accounting. I'm not asking you to be an accountant. I'm asking you to help me protect what I've built, to prevent anyone from doing what Marcus did again. I thought about it. Can I have some time to think about it? Take all the time you need. In the end, I declined. Not because I didn't want to help, but because I needed to rebuild my own life on my own terms. Dad understood. But I did agree to consult on their security overhaul, helping implement systems that would prevent future fraud. My former employer from Innovate Soft reached out. They couldn't rehire me immediately, as they'd filled my position, but they provided a glowing reference and offered to bring me back if a position opened. It was more than I'd expected. Within 6 weeks, I found a new job at a different tech company. Similar role, similar pay. A fresh start with people who didn't know my story. Tyler helped me find a new apartment. I slowly rebuilt my savings, paid him back his loan with interest even though he insisted it wasn't necessary. Physical therapy helped with my lingering symptoms. The headaches became less frequent. The dizziness faded. I'd always have a scar on the back of my head, a permanent reminder, but I learned to see it differently. Not as a mark of victimhood, but as proof of survival. Therapy became part of my routine. Not just physical therapy, but mental health counseling. Processing the trauma of the assault, the betrayal, the systematic destruction of my life. My therapist helped me understand that healing wasn't linear. Some days it feels strong, empowered. Other days, the anger and hurt would resurface. That's normal, she assured me. What matters is that you're processing it, not burying it. Marcus' trial was scheduled for 6 months after the hearing. But, 3 months in, his attorney negotiated a plea deal. Marcus would plead guilty to reduce charges in exchange for testifying about his full scheme and accepting responsibility. The final sentence: 3 years in prison, 5 years probation upon release, full restitution of the $94,000 Head stolen, plus reimbursement of the money Head taken from my account. I attended the sentencing hearing, sat in the back of the courtroom, watching my brother stand before the judge. "Do you have anything to say?" Judge Morrison asked. Marcus looked at me. For the first time since this all began, I saw something like genuine remorse in his eyes. "I destroyed my life trying to destroy my brother's," he said quietly. "I let jealousy and addiction control me. I made choices that hurt everyone I claimed to love. I can't undo what I did, but I accept responsibility. And I'm sorry, especially to Drew. He didn't deserve any of this. It wasn't enough. Words couldn't fix what had broken, but it was something." Judge Morrison sentenced him, and officers led him away. He'd serve his time at a minimum security facility, with possibility of early parole for good behavior. As I left the courthouse, Mom caught up with me. "Are you okay?" she asked. "I don't know. Part of me feels vindicated. Part of me just feels sad." "Me too," she admitted. "Hess, my son, I love him. But what he did was unforgivable. Love and accountability can coexist," I said, something my therapist had taught me. Mom hugged me. "You're wise beyond your years." I learned it the hard way. Family dinners resumed, but they were different now. Smaller. At restaurants, never at home. The dining room at my parents' house held too many traumatic memories. They eventually sold that house, downsized to a condo. A fresh start for them, too. I maintained a relationship with Emma and Noah. Every other weekend, I'd take them to the park, the science museum, the arcade. I taught them about computers, about making good choices, about how actions have consequences. Uncle Drew. Emma asked one day, sitting on a park bench eating ice cream, "Why did Daddy do bad things?" It was a question I'd wrestled with myself. Sometimes people make bad choices when they're hurt, or scared, or lost. Your dad let his problems become bigger than his love for his family. But that doesn't mean you're like him, or that you'll make the same choices. I miss him, she said quietly. It's okay to miss him, and it's okay to be angry at him too. You can feel both things. Jenna became a genuine friend. We'd grab coffee every few weeks, catch up on life. Shed found a better job at a firm across town. Was dating someone new. Seemed happy. I don't regret coming forward, she told me once. Even though it was scary. Even though Marcus threatened me. I did the right thing. You did more than that. You saved me. She smiled. We saved each other. 6 months after the trial, I met someone. Sarah, a graphic designer I encountered at a coffee shop. We bonded over a shared love of terrible science fiction movies and good Thai food. I told her my story on our third date. Nervous about how she'd react. That's intense, she said. But it shows you're strong, that you fight for yourself. That's attractive. We took things slow. I was still learning to trust again, still healing from betrayal. But Sarah was patient, understanding. She gave me space when I needed it, support when I asked. My new job promoted me to senior engineer after 6 months. Life was rebuilding, piece by piece. Dad officially retired a year after everything happened. The business was stable, profitable, under new professional management. He and Mom started traveling, something they'd always talked about but never done. We wasted too much time working. Dad told me over dinner one night, life's too short. We're going to enjoy what's left of it. They looked younger somehow, lighter. The stress of the business, of Marcus' betrayal, had aged them. But letting go had given them freedom. I visited Marcus once in prison, about 18 months into his sentence. I wasn't sure why I went. Closure, maybe. Or curiosity. Head changed. Lost weight. His face was gaunt, his eyes hollow. Prison had been hard on him. I didn't expect you to come, he said, sitting across from me in the visiting room. I didn't expect to come either. We sat in awkward silence for a moment. I've had a lot of time to think, Marcus said finally, about why I did what I did. The gambling was part of it. The addiction made me desperate. But it was more than that. I resented you, Drew. Always have, if I'm honest. You were the smart one, the talented one. Everything came easy to you. I worked myself to the bone in that business, and Dad still talked about you like you hung the moon. That's not true. Dad was proud of you. Maybe. But I couldn't see it. All I saw was competition. And when I started stealing to cover my debts, I convinced myself I deserved it, that I'd earned that money through my work. Then when Jenna discovered it, I panicked. And you became the easy solution. The scapegoat. You almost killed me. I know. His voice cracked. That wasn't the plan. I just wanted to push you, make you look aggressive. But I lost control. And when I saw you hit the wall, saw the blood, I knew I'd gone too far. But by then, I was in too deep. So I doubled down. Tried to destroy you completely rather than face what I'd done. Why are you telling me this? Because I owe you the truth, and because I don't expect forgiveness. But I want you to know, I understand what I did. I destroyed everything that mattered. My family, my freedom, my relationship with our parents, and nearly your life. For what? To hide my mistakes? It was stupid and cruel. I looked at my brother, this person I'd grown up with, who'd once been my best friend. Before the resentment and jealousy poisoned everything. I don't forgive you, I said. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I don't hate you either. I just feel sad about all of it. That's fair. We talked for a while longer. About Emma and Noah, who he was allowed to video call once a week. About the therapy he was required to attend. About his plans for when he got out. I'm not expecting anyone to welcome me back, he said. Angelus, divorcing me, which is the right choice. Mom and Dad visit sometimes, but things are strained. When I get out, I'll probably move to a different state, start completely over, away from everyone I hurt. As I left the prison, I felt a strange mix of emotions. Relief that I'd confronted him, sadness for what could have been, but also peace. I'd survived. I'd fought back. I'd won. Not just in court, not just by exposing his crimes, but by refusing to let his actions define me, by rebuilding, by healing, by choosing to live fully despite what had done. 2 years after that Sunday dinner that destroyed my world, I stood in my new apartment looking at a photograph. It was from childhood. Marcus and I, maybe 8 and 11 years old, arms around each other, genuinely happy, matching baseball uniforms, gap-toothed grins, before resentment and addiction poisoned everything. I felt a twinge of grief for that innocent version of us, for the relationship that could have been. But then, I turned to the wall beside it. A newer photo hung there. Tyler, Sarah, Jenna, my parents, Emma, Noah, and me at a 4th of July barbecue. Everyone smiling, relaxed, healthy, a new configuration of family. Different, but good. Sarah called from the kitchen. Dinner's almost ready. You okay? Yeah, I called back. Just thinking. She appeared in the doorway, gave me that look that said she understood without me needing to explain. Come eat. We can think after. Over the past 2 years, I'd rebuilt everything Marcus tried to destroy. Better apartment, better job, better relationships. I'd been promoted twice, was leading a team of developers now. The company valued my work, my ideas, my leadership. My bank account was healthy again. I'd recovered financially, even saving enough for a down payment on a house Sarah and I were looking at together. My relationship with my parents had healed, not back to what it was, because that version of us didn't exist anymore. But something newer, more honest. We'd started family therapy together, working through the betrayal, the doubt, the guilt they carried for not believing me. It was slow, sometimes painful work, but worthwhile. I should have known, Dad had said in one session. I should have seen the warning signs with Marcus. The defensiveness about the books, the long lunches, the mood swings. You wanted to trust your son, the therapist said. That's natural. Marcus exploited that trust. Both our sons, Mom added, reaching for my hand. We failed Drew by not trusting him when he needed us most. Forgiveness came gradually, not all at once, but in small moments. A Sunday dinner where Dad asked my opinion on something. A phone call where Mom checked in just to say she loved me. Trust rebuilding one interaction at a time. I saw Emma and Noah regularly. They were growing up, adjusting to their new reality. Marcus called them from prison every week. I didn't begrudge him that connection. Those kids needed their father, even a flawed, incarcerated one. But I also made sure they knew they had me. Uncle Drew, who'd show up to school plays and birthday parties, who'd teach them about computers and ethics and making better choices than their father had made. Uncle Drew. Noah asked me once, building with Legos in my living room, when Daddy gets out, will you still hang out with us? Of course. That'll never change. Even though Daddy hurt you. Your dad's actions are his responsibility, not yours. You two are amazing kids. I love spending time with you. That has nothing to do with what your dad did. Angela had found her footing. She'd gotten a better job in medical billing, moved into her own small house. She was dating cautiously, focusing mostly on her kids and her own healing. We'd developed a cordial relationship, not close, but respectful. You gave me a second chance, Shed told me once. By not pushing for charges against me, I won't waste it. Jenna had become one of my closest friends. She'd been instrumental in building a new security protocol for Dad's firm, her expertise helping prevent future fraud. Shed found love with someone who appreciated her integrity and courage. Tyler remained my constant, best friend, voice of reason, the person who'd believed in me when almost no one else did. And Sarah. Sarah was patient with my healing process, understood when I needed space, celebrated my victories, held me through the moments when trauma resurfaced. We were talking about marriage, about building a life together, taking it slow, but moving forward. My therapist helped me understand that surviving what Marcus did wasn't just about legal victory. It was about reclaiming my sense of self, about learning to trust again, about setting boundaries and protecting my peace. You've done remarkable work, she told me in one of our recent sessions. You've transformed trauma into growth. It doesn't always feel that way. Some days I'm still angry. Anger is valid. What matters is what you do with it. You've chosen to build rather than destroy. That's powerful. I'd learned so much through this nightmare. About the danger of blind trust, even with family. About the importance of documentation, evidence, protecting yourself. About the reality that some people will hurt you if given the chance, and it's not your fault. I learned about the value of allies. People like Jenna and Tyler and Grace, who stood up for truth even when it was risky or inconvenient. About the power of speaking up, fighting back, refusing to accept injustice. I learned that justice isn't always swift or clean, that legal victories don't erase trauma, that healing is messy, non-linear, ongoing work. But most importantly, I learned about resilience, about the strength I didn't know I had, about getting knocked down, literally and figuratively, and choosing to get back up, about fighting for myself when no one else would. Marcus had tried to erase me, to destroy my reputation, my finances, my relationships, my very identity. Head wanted me broken, silent, out of the way. Instead, I'd risen, fought back, won not just in court, but in life. The scar on the back of my head remained, a permanent reminder of that night. But I'd learned to touch it differently, not as a mark of victimhood, but as proof of survival. A battle scar worn with quiet pride. 3 weeks in darkness, that's what Marcus gave me. 3 weeks where I existed in a void, unaware of the destruction happening to my life. But I'd emerged, woken up, refused to accept the narrative Head written, and in fighting back, I'd discovered something valuable. My own strength, my capacity to survive, to rebuild, to thrive despite someone else's cruelty. Sarah called again. Drew? Seriously. Food's getting cold. I joined her in our small dining room. Shed made lasagna, garlic bread, a salad. Simple. Perfect. We ate together, talked about our days, made plans for the weekend. This was my life now. Ordinary, peaceful, happy. Everything Marcus had tried to take from me, I'd reclaimed, and more. Later that evening, as Sarah fell asleep beside me, I reflected on everything. The journey from that Sunday dinner to this moment, the pain, the fight, the victory, the healing. If I could go back and warn my past self what was coming, would I? Would I skip that dinner, avoid the confrontation, prevent the assault? Part of me wanted to say yes, to spare myself the trauma, the struggle, the darkness, but another part recognized what I'd gained through surviving it. Strength I didn't know I had, clarity about who truly mattered, appreciation for every ordinary, peaceful moment, understanding that I could face the worst and still come out whole. They say blood is thicker than water, but I learned the hard truth. Family doesn't give anyone the right to destroy you. Trust is sacred, and when someone breaks it, even a brother, you have every right to protect yourself and fight back. I spent 3 weeks in darkness and woke to a world where I'd lost everything. But I learned something more valuable than any job or bank account. I learned my own strength. I learned that justice isn't always served on a silver platter. Sometimes you have to fight for it, document it, prove it in court. I learned that real family isn't just about DNA. It's about who shows up when you're at your lowest. Jenna, who risked her own safety to expose the truth. Tyler, who believed in me without hesitation. Grace, who fought for me when I couldn't afford to pay her. Even Angela eventually, finding courage to break free and tell the truth. And my parents, who ultimately chose truth over comfort, even though it meant facing their own failures. Marcus taught me that you can't control what others do to you, but you can control how you respond. You can stay down, or you can get up swinging. I chose to fight. And in fighting back, I didn't just win my life back. I built a better one. A life grounded in authentic relationships, healthy boundaries, hard-won wisdom. A life where I knew my worth, protected my peace, and refused to let someone else's lies become my truth. The scar on my head reminds me every day. Never let anyone, not even family, make you feel small. Your life is yours. Protect it. Fight for it. And never, ever let someone else write your story. I'd survived the worst betrayal imaginable and come out stronger. Not unscathed, but stronger. The kind of strength that comes from being broken and choosing to heal, from being knocked down and choosing to rise, from being silenced and choosing to speak. Marcus was serving his time, facing his consequences. I'd heard through Mom that he was doing okay, attending therapy, participating in programs, genuinely trying to change. Part of me hoped He'd find redemption, not for his sake, but for Emma and Noah's. Kids deserved a father who'd learned from his mistakes. But that was his journey. Mine was here. In this apartment, with this woman, building this life, moving forward, not forgetting the past, but not letting it define my future. Sarah stirred beside me, mumbled something in her sleep. I pulled the blanket over her shoulder, kissed her forehead gently. This was victory. Not the courtroom drama or the criminal conviction. This, peace, safety, love, ordinary happiness, earned through extraordinary struggle. I closed my eyes, ready for sleep. No more nightmares about falling. No more dreams of being trapped, voiceless, erased. Just rest. The kind that comes from knowing you fought your battles and survived. Tomorrow, I'd wake up and keep building, keep healing, keep living fully, authentically, fiercely, because that was the ultimate revenge against someone who tried to destroy you. Not bitterness or hatred, but thriving, being happy, refusing to let their cruelty diminish your light. Marcus had slammed me into a wall and erased 3 weeks of my life, but I'd woken up and taken my life back. And that was something he could never undo. Before I turn out the light tonight, I want to ask you something. Have you ever faced betrayal from someone you trusted completely? Someone who was supposed to have your back but instead tried to tear you down? How did you handle it? Did you fight back, or did you walk away? And looking back, do you think you made the right choice? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd really love to hear your stories, your wisdom, your experiences with betrayal and survival. If this story resonated with you, if it made you feel something or think about your own life differently, please hit that like button. It helps more people find these stories and know they're not alone in their struggles. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing to this channel. We share stories about real human experiences, the messy, complicated, difficult moments that shape us and make us stronger. Finally, if you know someone who needs to hear this story, someone who's facing their own betrayal or fighting their own battle against injustice, please share this with them. Sometimes knowing someone else survived something similar gives us the strength to keep fighting our own battles. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being part of this community. Thank you for showing up, for caring, for taking the time to hear about the hardest period of my life and the strength I found on the other side of it. Remember, your life is yours. Protect it, fight for it, and never let anyone's lies become your truth. Take care of yourselves out there, and know that no matter how dark things get, there's always a way forward. Always a reason to keep fighting. Always hope for a better tomorrow. Good night.